Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Fifth Quarter. I'm Mike Ciarochi, sports editor of the Herald-Standard, and I'm joined once again by George Von Benko, memory lane author and WMBS radio personality. George, welcome back. We get to talk about another loss today.
We get to talk about a loss, and you wanted to mention that you hope everybody's watching this
yes.
before Thursday, because we got another game coming up Thursday night.
Yeah, where the taping is taking place now on Monday, and the Steelers play again Thursday night, NFL Network
against those
game.
Young Carolina Panthers.
The young Carolina Panthers, they'll be lugging both wins into Heinz Field, both wins that they've earned this year. One of them, of course, came yesterday. But let's not put the cart before the horse. We need to talk about the Steelers' somewhat disappointing 22-17 loss to the New York Jets yesterday. First impressions, I thought the defense played well enough. They really only gave up 13 points. There was the safety and the kickoff return against the Steelers that hurt them as much. Offensively, they dominated pretty much every stat except the one I found out that is Dick LeBeau's favorite stat, which is yards per pass play. And that's the only stat. If you look down the whole list of final team stats, it's the only statistic that the Jets were better than the Steelers. And that was very dominant.
That's an interesting stat, too, because there is a lot of feeling amongst some people that I've talked to after the game that this was the best game of the revamped offensive line's play since they had to put this together. And they had a running game. Mendenhall averaged 5.9 yards per carry. Actually, the running game was, when you take the sacks and include the sacks in it, the running game's yards per average was higher than yards per average passing, yet the Steelers threw the ball 44 times.
Yeah, well, and that's the product of being behind late in the game and needing to throw the ball to get down the field quickly at the end of the fourth quarter. Another thing to mention about the offensive line, I think only 3 penalties against the Steelers. Most of them, at least 2 of them were costly, but none of them were holding calls.
No, and they cleaned that up pretty good. I did have a problem with the play call on the safety when Moeldy Moore was tackled in the end zone. I just think you need to get a little yardage, maybe a quarterback sneak or a power play, and get a couple more yards to get a little bit further away from the end zone before you try running a trap play. And he shot the gap, and it wasn't even close.
Jason Taylor's a good player, as Mike Tomlin alluded to at his press conference earlier today. But I guess if you ever want to see a holding call,
that would have been the play,
for Jonathan Scott to just reach out and grab a hold of Jason Taylor about the 1 or 1.5 yard line would have been the play to make. The old 6-inch penalty would have been a lot better than.
I could have lived with that rather than what happened. I thought it was probably the worst game of the entire season for the Steelers special teams.
Yeah, I think so. It seemed like they had cleaned up a lot of the problems that they had last year, and now. Similar to when they went to Tennessee this year, I believe it was the second game of the year, second or third game, and they got the opening kickoff return for a touchdown. They gave one up yesterday.
Well, 97 yards on the opening, and I've never seen a play like that. He went down the sideline. There was nobody close to him.
Like nobody, he may have been touched by one player. And that was it. It wasn't even no one had a chance to tackle the guy.
But just to go down the I've just never seen a play like that. And the other thing was the hidden yardage. They've got 5 kickoff returns for 165 yards. They also did very well. Their punter did a great job of backing the Steelers up, where Kapanos had a couple of chances to back the Jets up and couldn't do it. I think the hidden yardage favored the Jets a great deal. And if you look at the average field position for a start, which I think they have in there, I think it's going to favor the Jets a great deal in average field position for a start.
Let's see where the drive charts are.
Which I think really, really hurt Pittsburgh.
The Jets began drives. Let me see. Their worst field position was around 20. They started every possession in their own territory. But the Steelers, doesn't look all that awful until you look down at the end of the fourth quarter. The Steelers, their last two possessions started at their own 3 and at their own 8.
And they had one from the 4
from
as
the
well.
4, right.
Yeah. The average field position greatly favored the Jets.
Yes, yes. Yeah, here we go. There's the stat. Average for the Jets was the 30-yard line, and average for the Steelers was the 22.
Which doesn't look that bad, but
no.
8 yards is 8 yards, and I just had a problem all day long with I didn't think the special teams played very well at all.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
But hey, a quick turnaround. See if they can right that wrong. A couple other things to consider. I've heard a lot of people talking about it this year. Steelers have 4 losses, 10-4. They are in the playoffs, and all 4 of their losses have come against at least potential playoff teams.
Yeah.
Included in this season was a win on opening day against the supposed or probable top seed in the NFC, the Atlanta Falcons. Went to overtime, but a win is a win.
You mentioned the defense. 13 points is usually good enough to win a game. I did think the defense left a lot of plays on the field. They did not intercept Sanchez in the ball game. That's the first time in 9 games that Sanchez has not thrown an interception. They had 1 sack, which was actually a sack where he rushed back to the line of scrimmage, but it's counted as a sack.
Yeah, sack for no yards.
And they missed numerous chances to sack him. When they missed tackles, the most egregious one, of course, was Ryan Monday missing him, which led to a big third down play for the Jets, which led to their field goal.
Yeah.
But I thought the defense missed some opportunities. They really did.
Yeah, and they missed probably number 43 as much.
There's no question about that.
The big playmaker, Troy Polamalu, missed yesterday's game. I don't really expect to see him on the field Thursday night, possibly coming back for the January 2nd game at Cleveland.
Possibility. I think, depending on what they do Thursday night, if they win Thursday night, which clinches the tiebreakers for them against Baltimore, there's no reason to play Polamalu against Cleveland.
True. Except, if you're talking about a bye, you may want to just get him out there running around a little bit.
Maybe. That would be the only thing.
Even if he does play in that game, it might just be a token first quarter appearance, just to kind of run a little bit, get maybe build up a sweat and then get him to the sideline.
Getting back to the defense for a second, I think if you talk to the defensive players, and I heard a lot of their comments after the game, they were disappointed by not getting off the field on third down. They let the Jets possess the ball a little bit too much in their estimation. And the other thing that bothered them, other than not getting a turnover, but not getting off the field, they just had a problem getting off the field, and they got fooled. Let's face it, they got fooled on a couple of plays. The bootleg by Sanchez was a great call, and Harrison took that on himself. He said, "I was crashing down, and I didn't."
You could say the replay, the tape doesn't lie.
And then the other one was the Tomlinson play where they snapped the ball directly to him, which was a big third down. And the people on television saw that before the Steeler defense did. They said, "Look how close Tomlinson is lined up to Sanchez. That's a tip-off." And the defense didn't see it.
For the game, 6 of 13 on third downs for New York, 46%. I believe the Steelers' average on the season is in the 34%. So they did give up a few more. The Steelers actually were pretty good themselves on third down conversions, 11 of 17.
Which is not bad at all.
No, 65% is great. But a lot of those came in the fourth quarter when they needed to possess the ball, and a lot of the third downs were brought up by spikes on first down.
Exactly.
Clock-killing spikes on first down. I thought another part of the New York Jets defensive game plan that worked to perfection, at least in my opinion, was eliminating Hines Ward.
And that was Darrelle Revis.
Yes.
That was Revis. Although, if you listen to Mike Wallace and some of the receivers after the game, they were complaining bitterly
about being held.
That they were being held for most of the ball game.
And I thought this early in the game, Mike Wallace kind of played down to his inexperience, I believe, a little bit. He started crying and complaining, looking for the flag before the ball even landed. You know, if you run out of the hold, go after the ball, make it look like you had a chance to get there, you may get those flags. I don't think he's established enough in the league to get the calls just because he turns around and complains to the officials.
Well, I'm certainly not going to lay the loss on the officials because the Steelers certainly had some chances, but the Zebras did play a big part in this ball game.
Was it Emmanuel Sanders late in the game?
Oh, there was no question that Dwight Lowery reached out and grabbed him by the shirt, and it wasn't called. And the announcers, Nance and Sims on television, said, why did Sanders slow down? If he would have kept running, he would have caught that ball. Then they saw the replay, said, oh, that's why he slowed down. The guy had hold of his shirt. And you know, that is a little frustrating to have a play like that right out in the open field and not be called, but yet you're going to call some of these other calls.
Well, you know what, and as I mentioned to you before we started taping, I'm taking my hat off to Steelers coach Mike Tomlin today, as he did to the New York Jets yesterday in his post-game comments. I think he showed remarkable restraint in not ripping into the officials at every opportunity. He knows that won't accomplish anything. It's not going to get things changed. Your best course of action is just to go into the game, play your style, do what you do, and let the chips fall where they may and the flags fall where they may.
He has showed remarkable restraint. Some of his players have not at times, and I don't know whether that's hurt them. Another controversy was after Jonathan Scott missed the block on Taylor, which led to Mwelde Moore being tackled in the end zone for the safety. He was removed from the game. And a lot of people thought that he was being punished by Mike Tomlin because Trey Essex came into play. The official word from the Steelers was that Scott had a stinger. That's why he was taken out of the game.
I think he had suffered the stinger before that play, and was back in trying to help out. Hey, Jonathan Scott certainly will never be confused with Anthony Munoz or any of the other great left tackles in the league. Jason Taylor makes that play against a lot of players.
That's why I had a problem with the call.
The play, that's what I was getting to right now. The play is probably not Jonathan Scott's fault as much as it was Bruce Arians or whoever called the play to pull the guard, pull Mwelde over. But having said that, if Mwelde Moore gets to the line of scrimmage, he may still be running.
Well, it might be. I just thought the safer play would have been to get a couple of yards and give himself some room.
Give him
Mendenhall had been good all day, 5.9 yards a carry. Leave him in there, let him power it a little bit and get some yardage. But they lose 22-17. Quick turnaround against the Panthers now, who win only their second game of the year. The rookie quarterback down there, Clausen, outplayed Miami's rookie quarterback. But a rookie quarterback, Dick LeBeau, is licking his chops.
I would think. The running game for Carolina, though, is always going to be there.
Stewart is a very good running back.
Yes,
Jonathan Stewart,
And there's another guy. They had D'Angelo Williams is out for the year.
He's out for the year.
But they have another young back in there that's doing pretty well. And a lot of people may not remember this, but John Fox, I'm sure you remember, he kind of cut his coaching teeth with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He was also at the University of Pittsburgh for a while, too.
Right.
And I've known him for a long time, and unfortunately, John was a real good guy and has had success down in Carolina. Took them to the Super Bowl. That game yesterday was probably his last game at home as a coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for his coaching longevity in Carolina. But, that's another interesting angle about this game is Coach Fox coming back to Pittsburgh.
It is. We've run out of time, and we do want to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Yes, that's right. Merry Christmas to everybody. And we will see you next week. We are going to, even though the game is Thursday, we're not going to tape next week's edition until Monday. So watch the game Thursday night. It will be on Channel 2, I believe, locally if you don't have the NFL Network. And we'll see you next week.